Hi guys, this is Ari from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm going to be starting a new series talking about my favorite mystery author, Agatha Christie. For those of you who don't know who Agatha Christie is, you can check one of my older Agatha Christie videos where I kind of talk about who she is and what life she led. She's the most famous mystery writer and the best-selling mystery writer of all time. She's done books such as And Then There Were None, Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and Murder on the Orient Express, all of which we've gone over as group panels on Literary Gladiators. However, for this series, I'm going to be going over some Agatha Christie's that we have not gone over as a group, at least not of yet, for Literary Gladiators, and these are more personal stories that I have read myself. So, for the first story I'm going to be going over today for Agatha Christie, I'm going to be going over Dumb Witness. Now, when I read this book, it was an older version of the book. It was it must have been published in like the 70s. And the actual name of the book was called Poirot Loses a Client. Now, for those of you who don't know who Poirot is the Belgian detective, the main Belgian detective in the books. And he's usually aided by either Captain Hastings or Inspector Japp. And they usually solve crimes. In this case, Dumb Witness shows that somebody sent a letter. A woman sent a letter to Poirot explaining that there seems to be a problem. She had just recently changed her will so that none of her family would get it. It would just go to one person. And that she was afraid that someone found out and was trying to kill her. Or that she was in danger or something because she had fallen down the steps. And the only thing or person to witness this was Bob. And Bob is just a dog. So Poirot goes to investigate, finds that there is a nail embedded in the wood, on the side of the steps, and immediately says, "This is not." And then the nail was missing later, so he's like, "Oh no, this is not an accidental fall. This was done by a tripwire." So it's quite interesting, this story, because it goes through the entire Arundel, that's the name of the family, the Arundel family, and everyone who's around the Arundel family. You've got Charles and Terry, brother and sister. You've also got another sister whose name I believe is, I want to say it's Rebecca, but can't remember off the top of my head. But it was and then you have her husband who's very controlling. And then you have the husband of Rebecca is very controlling. I'm assuming that's her name. I could get the name wrong, so don't kill me if I'm getting the name wrong. But, and then you've got Minnie Lawson, who is the maid and the housekeeper, and that's who all of the will is going to. So, in the end, after Poirot questions everyone, goes to the city, meets with people, it's also shown that by two, what are they called? Like people who mediums. We'll call them mediums. There are two mediums who live nearby, and they do like seances with Emily Arundel, who's the murdered woman. And what happens is that they go together, and during one of the seances, when Emily Arundel actually dies, they see this yellow gas come out of her mouth as if they think it's just her soul escaping into heaven. But in fact, it is later revealed to be phosphorus, that she had been poisoned with phosphorus. And it goes around, things go around, and the murderer is eventually found, but before the murderer can reveal who he or she is, she kills herself, or he kills herself. So, I've just given it away, haven't I? It is definitely a woman. So, she kills herself, and they can't really, there's no trial, there's no jury, because the person is dead at this point, but it is confirmed she is the one that did it. I'm not going to tell you specifically who did it. That's for you to find out. But Dumb Witness is quite interesting because Poirot actually gets a lot of information, or so we think, from the dog, because like the dog is that's why it's called Dumb Witness, because the dog can't actually speak, and he is a witness to the crime of Lady Arundel falling over and falling down the steps due to the tripwire I mentioned earlier. And maybe it's just Poirot thinking to himself, but he finds a lot of information when he's talking about looking at Bob, trying to like ascertain what has happened here. So, cast of characters. After I describe everything, I will go over the cast of characters. So, Emily Arundel is the murdered woman. Minnie Lawson is, like I said, she's the not really a maid, but she's like the companion of Emily Arundel. Charles Arundel is one of the relatives. Teresa Arundel is one of the relatives. I think the other one is named Becca, but I'm not 100% sure. And then Becca married a guy whose name is escaping me right now, but that guy is very controlling towards her, and it kind of sets up everything with their relationship. And then there's also two maids as well. So, and of course there's Poirot, and I believe Hastings is in this one. So you've got a lot of people together. And of course you got Bob the dog. So those are basically the cast of characters. And so Dumb Witness, I think, was a very good story. I think it was a little bit predictable near the end, figuring out, once Minnie Lawson gave a specific piece of testimony, it was easy for me to figure out who did it. But before that, I was a little bit stumped, but obviously it wasn't the obvious person. That's usually how it works, is that the person who's most likely, the person with the attitude that's most likely to commit the crime, very likely doesn't. That applies here as well. Dumb Witness is a good story. I was definitely involved in it. It's not as good as, like, I don't know, some of the more popular Agatha Christie's, but it's worth the read if you have the time. I would give Dumb Witness on a scale of 5 stars, half stars included, of course, as Josh usually says. I will give this one a 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was very well organized. Pardon me for not remembering certain details. I meant to do a video of this a couple months ago, because I read this book when I went to Florida, and it's been a little while, and I wasn't really able to look up a couple details, but overall what I'm saying is pretty much correct. And when you find out who the murderer was, let's just say it's a classic Agatha Christie, and you'll know who it is. You should know who it is by about 3/4 of the way through the book, and at a maximum. Anyway, I'm R.A.S. Gans, signing off for Literary Gladiators, and I'll be reviewing another Agatha Christie next time. I'll be looking to do the ABC murders. So I will see you guys next time. Bye. Keep reading.